G here doing a quick review of a new tomb fork called Toast Finance. Tomb forks are kind of a touchy subject lately, I would say. There's been a lot of shining stars out there, or actually a few shining stars, and a lot that have kind of turned up and then fizzled out, as far as experiencing some of the real common symptoms of tomb forks that we've seen, especially starting with the Phantom blockchain losing a lot of its steam, if you will, and allure, where the original tomb and I think 3 ohm came from originally. And I don't know, it just seems like tomb forks are kind of on the way out. And the nice thing about Toast Finance is it's actually taken a different spin, a couple of different spins. It seems like they might have actually sat back a little bit, thought about what's going on with the whole market in general, thinking about being sustainable, thinking about mostly, I think, the problems, if I had to guess, that tomb forks experience. Why do they fizzle out? Why do they start with a bunch of TVL and then just steadily taper off afterwards into obscurity, basically? There's been some pretty good shining stars, although, like I say, not many. Great Finance is an excellent one. Ames DeFi, another excellent one. EMP Money, awesome project. But there's been really a lot of other, clones and offshoots of that just have not been. I think they're sort of trying to ride on the backs of giants, right on the coattails of successful tomb forks, which can't say I blame them for wanting to do. Great pretty much set the standard for the good tomb fork. By the way, if you're not in Grape, it's a great time to buy Grape. They got some new releases out. The price of Grape is way below peg. Great time to make LP, make some farms. But this video is not about Grape. It's about Toast Finance. So I want to just go into a couple of different ways that they are different. This is a quick review, by the way. I just got into Toast last night. Found it actually completely by accident, and then found that a few of my peers actually from a couple of the ecosystems that I'm invested in are also invested in this, and just sort of kind of kept it quiet. I don't want to keep it 100% quiet. I think the team over at Toast is building a lot of great stuff. Seems to be profitable. Everybody is definitely in profit, or definitely will be in profit very soon. And the team themselves, they really are trying to get the word out. So that's part of what I'm looking to do. By the way, I'm not paid to do any of this. I just, when I see a project that I think might be decent, again, it's only been a day, maybe a day and a half now, but just kind of want to review, tell you why I think it might be a good idea, why I at least took the jump to invest in it and spend some time on it, because of course there's a lot of projects out there. Can't look at them all. I work full time, got 3 kids. I don't have unlimited time for crypto. But to me, it's definitely a priority. It's important because I do believe it's a very significant part of mine, for one, and potentially many others' financial future and freedom, if all goes well. So, Toast Finance, toastfi.io. Always like to look at the docs too. Gotta always read the docs. I had somebody tell me a few months ago, actually from Grape, one of the core members. If you're into tomb forks and you know the Grape team, you would know this person very well, but I did not tell him I was going to mention this, so he will remain nameless. But he says that people that read the white papers are just very, very rare. People that read all the documentation is rare. Cannot stress just how incredibly important it is to read the documentation. The devil is always in the details. I'll say it again. The devil is always, always in the details. Not that there's any devil here, but you really got to understand what you're putting your money towards and how the mechanics work. Not just the token mechanics, but the behavioral mechanics of all the different moving parts of the protocol, and in some protocols, potentially what DEX or DEX says they operate on, and what's the different stipulations of how they operate between one another. So not to make it too complex, just do yourself a favor before you put up any money to anything. Go to the page's Git book if they have it. That's kind of where most of the protocols are going nowadays. Don't take that as gospel truth though. If a new protocol, or just doesn't have to be new, any protocol in general doesn't have a Git book, don't give up on it. Don't think that maybe it's just a shit project. Maybe don't think that it doesn't have documentation. It might just be in a different format or in a different location. A lot of the protocols used to have a 1 or 3 pager PDF that kind of goes through the tokenomics in the middle, and then the description of the project up top with its mission statement, why do we need another crypto project type thing. But nowadays, I think it's become more advanced and really to the investor's benefit, so that they can understand and find the information in a well laid out, well thought out and organized manner. Not everybody needs to read all of this all the time. Sometimes you just need a contract address, something as simple as that. Sometimes you just need to kind of go back and re-reference how the tokens interact with one another. How do you get max profit? Great question. But Toast, I think, is unique in a way because it looks like they've had some time to sit back and reflect and look at the state of the market and see where Tomb Forks currently fit, what their future might look like, and really kind of what is making people gravitate away from Tomb Forks. Most likely would be my guess, because Tomb Forks are, of course, becoming less popular. The granddaddy of them all, Tomb, the original Tomb on Phantom Chain, I believe is all but folded. I'm not sure because I don't do really anything on Phantom anymore. Try to avoid it right now, mostly on BSC and some on AVEX. But that just kind of did not work out. But it had a real good long run, and a lot of people made good money. And it was really nice in the sense that it created a diverse ecosystem of different free, by the way, DeFi financial tools, where if you put some thought into it and studied it, again, DeFi is a science, crypto is a science. It's not play money unless you look at it that way, but there's lots of people, especially in the AAA ecosystem, in the Sifu Vision, Alpha Room, and that whole group. They just smoke me all day, every day, as far as ability in crypto trading, yield farm strategies, anything like that. And I try to learn from the best. So when I do these videos and reviews, I pretty much just try to take what I've learned, build upon it, get wiser as I go along. But by no means should you take it as absolute gospel truth. It's obviously not financial advice, although I'm told that statement doesn't actually make one lick of a difference whatsoever. But it really isn't. It's just what I think right now. It's also what I'm currently doing. So if that makes any difference, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. This is exactly what I'm doing right now. So I am in Toast. I am in only a couple of parts of Toast, actually one part right now, because I'm trying to accumulate the share token. But let's talk about why it's different from other Tomb Forks. Tomb Forks suffer from impermanent loss quite a bit. Tomb Forks suffer from mooning share prices of share tokens and the false, often, if not every time, belief that the PEG token is going to stay above PEG forever, which guarantee you it's not. And probably the third thing is that, and this is what happened to me actually. So I lost a lot of money on AIMS DeFi when I started. And it's not AIMS DeFi's fault, it's CG's fault. I just simply didn't know what I was doing. So each one of these costly mistakes in crypto has made me better, has taught me many lessons, and the least I think that I could do is kind of share that. So along that same line, I think that's really what the Toast team is actually doing here. They have looked at Tomb Forks, they've looked at the market, what's wrong. A few things I just mentioned. Sustainability is really what it boils down to. sustainability of boardrooms being able to print, sustainability of fending off auto trading bots that just murder the peg all the time, especially when it's right close to peg. Then you get people liquidating different assets or their stakes in different pools, try to push it above peg after a while just to maybe eke out one last print, and hopefully that print will be well publicized so other people start dumping their money into the peg token, and hopefully they get some pretty good consecutive prints. Does it always work? I don't think so. Does it work sometimes? Absolutely. But it really boils down to, I think, the community. And the community, I think, is what they're really trying to build here. Else, why would they really be trying to make a tomb fork that's sustainable? Why not do another different type of project? One that might be kind of more in the spotlight right now, a little bit more popular, as tomb forks are experiencing an exodus of sorts. But the ways that it's different is it's good at maintaining peg through burns. Lots of buybacks and burns. Lots of buybacks and burns. It's all about the burn. The burn, baby. And how do you burn it? Tax money. This tomb fork toast has taxation on all cells, including, I believe, when you zap into some pools, with the exception of if you zap directly into an auto compounder or a boardroom. But if you're just zapping to zap, because they do actually delineate between the two options, right? If you're on a pools page, say an LP pool, and you have one of the input tokens, or actually one of a different variety of stable coins, that's one of the unique things about this protocol too, is you can zap in with many different stable coins and the LP and the member tokens themselves. You can even zap in with the opposite LP. When I say opposite, I mean if you're trying to get into the share stablecoin LP, the share token, in this case it's bread. The stable token is DAI. This is paired with DAI, by the way. I'll get into that in a quick second. But if you're trying to get into the bread DAI LP, you can actually zap in with the peg token LP, which is toast DAI. Kind of amazing. What you'll find, I think, on this DApp is it's completely redesigned. Not 100% completely, but it's really tuned and tweaked for usability. Like, how much of a pain in the ass is it not to use this DApp? Great question. Lots of them are just like overloaded with graphics, not enough contrast, can't see what you're doing. This is super simple. Bubble design, it's a picture of some toast, clear font inside, light bubbles in the background, words, the spacing is good, simple. AC, auto compounder, zap. We know what a zap is. Zap to many different targets. Zap just to zap. Zap to put directly into a boardroom. Zap to put directly into a pool or a stake. Any number of things on the site. But the point is that Zap is ubiquitous across the entire site. All pages, I think, have some form of Zap. It's right there. You don't got to go to like a different subsection of a site, or sometimes even a subsite itself, which is the case in some legacy tomb forks. But let's see, one of the main points too is that it's pretty new. But it's not so new where it looks like it's going to dump. You know, it's already had opportunity to be launched. Moon boy phase, come on down a little bit, come on a little bit more, and it's kind of like evening out. Not that the price isn't fluctuating, because it definitely is, and the liquidity is still kind of low. But that's what we're going to talk about, and that's potentially where you can make some good return. That's my plan, anyways. First, let's connect one of these test wallets. Oh, sign in. So the project's only been around for 25.5 days. I mean, that's awesome. We're already kind of past, like I said, that Moon Boy phase. We're all set. And now we got some stuff to do. So they update recently. They got a great Discord, which, by the way, is full of what seems to be very savvy and smart, mature investors. Reminds me a lot of the AAA ecosystem, which, by the way, these guys, the team at Toast, were guests on the AAA ecosystem AMA this morning, which happens every Sunday. It's Alto Sundays. On the Alto Discord, Equinox Dex Discord. So, few updates recently. Rebates version 2, they tweaked it, I think, to be more profitable and more accessible. The referral system has been updated, which I'll talk about later on. It's actually quite nice for you, and actually for everybody who's ever planning on taking any profit. The best way to really dodge sell taxes, which is essentially don't sell unless it's at peg or above or pretty close to it. There is kind of a scaling sell tax depending on how far the peg token is away from peg, or if it's at peg or above peg. Looks like they also lowered the tax on both tokens to 6%, which is great because I know people, some people see high taxes and they run the other way. They just don't like the idea. But try to, when you're evaluating these projects, that's why I say read the documentation. Huge, okay? Like the fire tax and the whole taxation system is a big part of what's keeping it with some substance in this protocol, keeping it afloat, keeping it sustainable. So earlier when I said buybacks and burns, that's actually coming from the way the taxes are done here. Just about all of the taxes collected from any sales and transactions like that are put back to the protocol in a much higher ratio, I would say, from what I found, than most other protocols. Yes, there is some that goes to the DAO. There is a little bit that goes to the team. But most of it goes to buybacks and burns of, guess what? The peg token. So that's one of their stopgaps and fail-safes as far as protecting peg. It's by no means a guarantee. They are really just furiously building on the roadmap. They're doing well. And there's a few other stops in place that we'll talk about too. Current price of Toast, 23 cents. You might be wondering why it says 2.3x of peg. Great question. This particular protocol is on the Binance Smart Chain, but it's pegged to DAI. So obviously Binance Chain DAI. But the pegging is 10 to 1. So peg is a dime, 10 cents. So at 23, it's 2.3 times peg, or 230%. And the share token, which has taken a dip lately, even since yesterday when I got in, is $25.09. There's two other tokens, actually, one token and a form of a rebate system, which we can touch on real quick. I don't know too much about Crust token. I'm not really using it right now. It's not necessary because we're far above peg, but I will cover it in a later video. TVL right now, 120K, not bad. New protocol. Just about nobody knows about it. Also, APYs and APRs are high here. I was looking for different tomb forks and actually just anything yield farming related, even an aggregator to just kind of list and sort by APY and APR to see what's actually paying out right now, and pretty much nothing is. Everything's tanked. The market's in the shitter. The days of 3, 4, 5, 6,000% APY, even though we all know that those decay over time. I don't even see anything really starting there right now. But what I do see here at Toast is consistent APYs for a while. They do, of course, fluctuate. There's mechanics in place to help beef it up, mostly the buyback and burning to raise the price of the peg token. So the emissions of that token that come out as rewards for you putting up your collateral as LP to contribute to the liquidity pool, net you make more, and the APR and APY goes up. So it's all about the peg. Though it depends on your strategy. So personally, my strategy right now in this protocol is to be a share maxi. I am just doing single stake on bread right now. Got it farming. It's not the highest APY mechanics here in the project. There's actually a couple other different functions that have much higher APY, but I do think, in my speculation and just my analysis, that the price of bread is probably going to go up, in my opinion. So I am trying to stack that bread as much as possible. No pun intended. Literally stack that bread. So bread goes in a toaster. If you're like me, you love butter on it, maybe some Smucker's strawberry jelly, preserves, love it. Actually, butter and preserves, delicious. But I'm in the toaster. We're on the 94th epoch. Thing prints continuously. Continuously does this project print. It's amazing. That's awesome. 94 epochs in a row. Can't recall the last time I have even heard of that recently. There's plenty that have. Grape did it for a freaking long time. EMP Money did it for a long time. Ames DeFi did it for a long time. A lot of them did not, though. So we'll see. As time goes on, it remains to be seen. But anything that really has to do in Toast Finance with the share token, again, it's called bread, is done in what they call the toaster. You know how Tomb Forks have all these cute little names for the different functions. They all call the boardroom something. They all call the peg token something. And where you have auto compounders and LP pools and anything really to do with either of those tokens, they kind of break all those functions off to the side in its own section on a page and call it something like the bakery. Bakery is where we do rebates. It's where we do stuff with Toast, the peg token, and a couple other things which we can take a quick look at a little bit later. But the toaster, there's two versions of each section though. So the toaster has two toasters actually. So there's a dual toaster and I think also a dual bakery. I have to double check. But on the toaster there's an LP toaster, which is only just staking LP tokens. These are PCS LP tokens, by the way. But much to my pleasant surprise, there is a single stake. So there is single stake in other protocols, but the way this one is implemented is extremely good. I think it's well thought out, and I do think it is very, very good for profit, especially if you're trying to slant your investment strategy towards one specific type of growth factor. In this case, it's going to be bread for me because they come out right in the documentation and even say it themselves. Toast, peg token, peg 110 to DAI. It's a dime, 10 cents. No maximum supply, par for the course, right? It's a peg token. Every expansionary epoch, newly mints, par for the course. Here's the breakdown though. 60% goes to Toaster rewards, 8 to the DAO, 8 to the devs, 24 to the treasury, the rebate treasury. Now the rebates, as we can see later on, are going to be quite lucrative. Actually, pound for pound, the most lucrative in the entire protocol. There's just a limited amount of them. Bread is really actually the growth token. So if any of you have been in Ames DeFi, you might know a thing or two about A-Share. Wonderful token, wonderful system, Ames DeFi. I'm in it myself. I love the AAA ecosystem. But there were days when A-Share was up $300, $400, $500, and now it's down to maybe like 20 or 30. Just so happens, bread is 23 right now. So I think we've kind of passed that. Like I said before, the Moon Boy stage might be a good time to start, thinking to pick some of this up, or to really just start building your bag of bread. The good thing, like many share tokens, it's uncapped. Here's the other good thing. Total supply ever, 37,000. You are early. It's only been 25.5 days. Can't tell you how many have been minted yet, but you watch this moon to the next galaxy when this 37,000 is hit, which ain't going to be for a year. Well, to be exact, 350 days from 25.5 days ago. So we got about like 11 months left. Call that 324 days after this time has passed that we've been talking, and it was also a little bit less than that when I just looked at the clock. But basically 324 days, almost 11 months. So you really want to build as big of a bag of this bread as you absolutely possibly can. Just grab as much bread as humanly possible. And one of the ways to do that is in the toaster. I'm doing it in the single stake because when you really evaluate the token mechanics, if you're not in an LP, you're not going to get a bunch of impermanent loss. If you don't know what impermanent loss is, it's basically money that you kind of lost because your tokens are in an LP pool that continuously rebalances itself, whereas if you held those tokens and the tokens moon, you'd actually have more money than you do sitting in your LP. Because when the price of that token moons, the other half of the pool, liquidity pool, it has to sell some of the mooning token to balance out the amount that you deposited so that the amount always stays the same in that LP pool. So if token A moons, the pool sells automatically through the automated market maker, so you get more of the other token that's not mooning, often a stable coin, so that you still have your, say, $300 that you put in originally. It's always going to be 300. And in the case of pancake swap, which these are, they're always split down the middle evenly, 50-50% of each token in the LP. In a balancer DEX like Equinox, which by the way is genius and it's killing it, completely different math, completely different options to invest, different strategies available to you. And that could be a different video for a different time. But I love Equinox, I really do. So got some staked over here. Toast earned says none, just because I've claimed. But look at this. On a single stake, daily APR, 1.13%. On the LP, significantly higher, right? So APR 414.27. This thing used to be up to 1 or 2,000, you know, but at least it's not down to 0.03% a day after 25 days. It's this high. So the thing to consider, right, is the span of time and the decay. It's been 25.5 days, and you can still make over 1% of your principal a day on a single stake. Single stake, as you may know, is typically APR lower because the protocols want you to provide liquidity, which means you got to provide both sides of the pair. Why? So people can trade on it and not get killed on price impact and or slippage. But the more liquidity has many benefits, you know, less price impact on sells, much more stable trading, there's more confidence, you can have bigger whales, do bigger trades. If you can't facilitate huge trades, even if you have a great protocol, you know, how are you going to attract the whales? Anyone that's farming, trying to get money from trading fees, big trading fees from big transactions. You got to have liquidity to be able to sustain a huge buy, or actually a series if you're really going to be safe about it and realistic, because sometimes these are coordinated. You got to be able to sustain a series of large buys and at some point when they come out of the woodwork, large sells. You need liquidity for that, lots of it. And as a buddy of mine, MP, likes to say, you need that thick liquidity. Love that guy. So yeah, the TVL still pretty low, partially responsible for the APR being high. You can stake a share token in DAI, LP, and you'll just get toast. I'm just going to keep selling the toast. I'm going to buy more bread because I'm in the single stake, the bread single stake. I'm going to put it here, add to this, get more of this because I added, sell, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Just in a loop like that. And then, like many tune forks, essentially, you know, because we're way above TWAP or PEG. TWAP, if you've not heard of it, it's an acronym, letters TWAP, time weighted average price. Essentially, it's a different way to calculate price based on the average within a span of time, which is one epoch. In this case, an epoch is 6 hours. Epoch generally is just a chunk of time that's agreed upon by everybody that is a finite set. Could be 10 minutes, could be 6 hours, but in tune forks, they're typically like 6 or 12 hours. I think there's 6 in toast. So whatever the average price on the chart, which by the way we can check, is, so the average price within that 6 hour span is what shows up here. A lot of stuff is calculated in tune forks off TWAP. A very good way to do things because it's uncommon that something will stay above X price for that long, depending on somebody's investment and profit-taking strategies. So the averages is what really makes it able to be traded and interacted with kind of over the long term without having to be immediately having a trigger finger all the time to see where the chart is. Contract numbers, let's take a look. Peg token, share token, let's see. Dex screener, it already knows it's BSC, bread DAI, it's the share. See the toast. Alright, so pretty much the same as it was maybe an hour ago. It's 22, almost 23 cents on the peg on toast, and $25 on the share. Not bad. It's moving around a lot, but honestly, it's up 20% on the day. It's got a beautiful little stair-step pattern here, though. It's already done it, let's see, 1, 2, 3 times. Keep in mind, well, actually more than that. This is the minute chart, but interesting how it keeps going like that. Stair-stepping, stair-stepping. So, launch, well, not launch exactly, but shortly after launch, moon, done. Now, this is bread. This has the potential to go literally to far beyond the stratosphere. Again, it's the share token, it's uncapped, so it's low price right now. It may go lower. That would be awesome. I would grab some, and I would double down on some LP to get some and compound it. But this can go up to $1,000, $2,000. There's only 37,000 of these. Like if this protocol takes off and you have hundreds or even multiple thousands slices of bread here, you got options available to you. That's why I'm front loading the share token on this protocol right now, because they got a single stake. The APR is good. They got all the farms that are complementary to one another, so if you're trying to get bread, they have a toast farm that you can actually get bread from, and the bread farm can actually emit toast to contribute to the toast farm that prints you bread. So it just goes in a loop. That's the beauty of a tune fork. But as long as the prices of the tokens and the assets that create the tune fork stay good, then you're good as an investor. Toast has their own auto compounders. Homegrown, home built. Look at those APRs. Ginormous. Ginormous. No deposit fees. annual 2,034%. Yep, you read that right. Right now, and this will change by the way, but like I said, it's 25 days old. Right now, if you get in, it's still early, but it's telling you you're going to make like 20x. Now, let's stop right there because that sounds mildly ridiculous because we know it's not going to stay there, right? So why even put it there, one might ask. Well, it's easy because you actually could make much more than 20x. And there's one way to do that, and I think one way only. Well, two ways. If the price of it just moons just to Arcturus, the next galaxy, any galaxy, you'll make a lot of money. But the more realistic and likely way is you're going to compound. You're going to compound your LPs instead of taking profit every day and sending it on out to Coinbase to cash out to your checking account, you know, because you're afraid you're going to lose whatever you gain and stuff. Just compound it. Compound it. Compound interest is ridiculous. There's a reason they call it the eighth wonder of the world. So let's take a quick look at that actually. I like this one. I use it all the time. When I first got into Alto, I used this calculator just because it has some settings in it that are pretty close to the daily Alto 2.3% function that they have in their rebasing. In other words, the period frequency goes down to the daily, and you can do it omitting weekends. So they have a option you can drop down that has the periods of 365 for every single day in the year, which is exactly how crypto works. Crypto never sleeps, of course, and it's open all the time. So you got to use the number 365. Just as a quick example, and I digress, not meaning to do this too long, but this has got to be seen. If you start out with $100, right, and your interest rate, now stuff like Alto, stuff like Libero, stuff like anything that rebases or anything that compounds any pool. Say it's Alto, for example, 2.3% daily, they say, right? This assumes, by the way, that the price of the token never changes, but daily. 1 year. You started out with 100. Okay? Say you put nothing else into it. 2.3% daily. Okay? $58,000. Now, this is the more accurate one. Watch what happens, because we're compounding daily. If you're in an LP farm providing liquidity and you have emissions coming out to you and you have a significant bag that you staked in there, you should be compounding daily, if not twice a day. The price of the gas fees on BSC is so low, the more you compound, the better your return. You're going to spend a few cents in gas fees, and it's kind of a pain sometimes, but honestly, I love doing it. I have a ton of fun compounding my crypto just because it makes me feel like I've accomplished something. Getting into Pancake Swap, Equinox, whatever, selling some rewards, depositing into the LP, and getting more right into the stack so I can earn interest on a bigger amount. I feel like I've done something productive for the day. I love doing it. Some people I know hate it, but you know, there's a chance you might like it too. So same deal, but we're using daily compounding. $100, 2.3% daily, 1 year, include weekends. Yes, that implies 365 days a year. If we're compounding everything, yes. Start date today. Additional deposits, nothing. Ever. Calculate. That's actually 402,252% APY. You take everything that you earn from today, you put it back into the pool, you earn all day tomorrow, you get more, assuming the prices of tokens don't change. You do it all again the next day, and you do it all the way to 365 days. And that $100 becomes 402 grand. You can do the same thing every day with your pools here, and you'll make a lot of money. I'm not saying you have to. The example I just showed of just how compound interest, the effect of it, how much it builds, and you'll see, like, when you start doing this, just make it a habit. Just burn it into your mind daily. Gotta compound my pools. I put it into my calendar on my phone. Works awesome. It's also a motivator too. Like, I'm getting ahead, doing something in life. Not the only thing, of course, but you know, it does feel good to make some progress. But after a while, it will definitely snowball and grow. You don't have to put 100% in every day. You got to take profit. You could put 50%. You could do 25%. You can do 80%. They usually say, like, the magic number is more like 80-20. So like, take 20% profit a day, do what you will with it, buy other crypto, put it in a different protocol farm, and then compound the 80%. It ain't like it's a sunk cost, like it's gone. You can pull it out. But we'll talk about that after. Because that's another step towards keeping this Tomb Fork sustainable, is pulling out your LP and how they tax that. Yes, it's taxed. So right up front, I'll tell you that when you put down for LP, when you deposit, there's a vesting period. 7 or 10 days usually. It's usually 10, I'm told. The one that I'm in, I think, is 7 actually. Even if you wait the vesting period, when you withdraw, you're paying 1%. The second you invest your LP into any of these pools, the time starts ticking. The clock starts ticking, and every few minutes you'll see the number get higher and higher and higher of how much of the LP tokens that you've staked you can pull out without the premium penalty tax, I'll call it. And the reason they do that, which by the way, the premium penalty tax is up to 10%. The reason they do that is to prevent dumping. So dumping is just not profitable, thus tanking the price, thus all this, you know, false worry and anxiety about it's a rug pull, this and that, that actually can tank a project. I think we just watched that with a couple of projects in the past 2 months, which shall remain nameless on this video. But yeah, like, mass hysteria definitely has opportunities to cause negatively cascading effects, and it has, and it's cost a lot of people a lot of money. So not that this fully prevents it, but if somebody really wants to dump their LP, yank their contribution, they're going to pay 10% tax, which is a big hit. It's huge. So that's a pretty good stopgap. There's a ton of burning going on of Toast token, which again, Peg token, all that tax, right? Like, say somebody did pull all their LP, 10%, say they put in 2K, they're going to burn $200 of Toast token. That's crazy. I mean, that's awesome. They also have a mechanism in place, which you have to read more up on. If the Peg token is too far above Peg, what they do to reduce Peg. They do all kinds of stuff. But there's a lot of money being generated by taxes that's actually used for the protocol's health, and really to make you and I money. That's why I like this protocol. You know, I like it because of that. It's sounding to me like it's going to be sustainable, like I'm going to make money on it, while some other protocols are kind of just chilling right now and not maybe producing so much, I think I can make up a lot of that here and continue to build and then be in all the protocols I'm in and stay there. Rebates. Rebates are great because they pay the most out of anything. Rebates are also limited, as you can see here. Toast available, 391. Toast DAI LP, 86 LP tokens. It's not unlimited, you know, but the bond premium is like 10%. The bond length is 10 days. It takes DAI, USDT, and USDC. Put as much as you want up to what's available. The APR for it is 56.42%. The premium, aka the discount. So you get really high return on these bonds. Rebates in the form of bonding your stable coins. But you also get a discount on what you're getting for the Toast DAI. So you earn two ways. I wish they had a ton more of this, and they may in the future, probably will as the protocol grows, because I would do these all day. By the way these bonds work, or rebates rather, they are absolutely 100% valid above and below PEG TWAP. So think about it, right? TWAP right now is 227. If this was 50 cents, how would this not make sense still? It would make a ton of sense. Auto compounders. You saw that before. Easy peasy. Just understand. They are for LP only, I believe. Very high APR, but they're taking 4% right off the top of all your emissions that you get from staking. Now, some people look at that and they're like, wow, that's kind of a screw job. That's a lot. But if it's compounding for you every 2 hours and you have no intentions of just pulling the LP out of the auto compounder soon, if you pay 4% up front when it compounds for you over time, aren't you making a ton more? Now, what's the alternative? By the way, the answer is yes. You're making a ton more over time, like many hundreds or thousands of percent more. And that's how you grow these pools. When you grow your share of the pool, you have more crypto. Your share is your crypto. You keep compounding and just grow it. And then whenever you're ready, pull it out, cash out, whatever you want. Maybe all of it, maybe none of it, who knows. But you'll have a bigger stack to make decisions with, which is the idea. Let's see, APR. In the bakery, you can create LP tokens with vesting of 7 days. Okay, don't forget that Toast pegs to DAI, but at a ratio of 10 to 1. So peg TWAP is always 10 cents. Actually, I think 11 cents because it has to be above. You can add liquidity. Here you can zap or do some Toast and DAI, or you can use the zapper, which is going to be here. Now, pretty cool thing about this protocol, when you're in many protocols, you can basically take, one or more of the protocol's own native tokens, use them as input, and then zap to create the LPs of your choice. Here in Toast Finance, you can use many different coins, many different stables. So DAI, you can use Toast itself, Bread, BUSD, USDC, but you can also use Binance Chain Ethereum and Wrapped BNB. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9 different choices to zap. That's insane. Makes it easy. You don't have to do a bunch of swapping to get the right tokens, just to do a zap and then pay all the gas in between. It's just like when I say it's well thought out, it's the small stuff I think like that Also the fact that the zap is just everywhere on this site. You know, like if you want to do a compounder, you know, right here, prove it, or you can just get it right here. Whoops, I don't see it anymore. But toast DAI LP, you can zap right here, zap from any of these tokens. Now, there's one thing to know about the zap. If you zap just to zap and you don't click the function to zap it right into the LP or right into the pool, there's going to be the sell tax. Okay, super important. So like here, this actually looks like it may have changed a little bit. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Zap into AC. Make sure this is checked. If your goal is to zap into this auto compounder, or if the only reason you're zapping at all is to get some LP tokens made to go into, say, Toast DAI LP, you click this. Do not leave this unchecked because you will get penalized a sell tax on the portion that needs to get sold of whatever you deposited as input to create the other half of the LP pair. That part's going to get taxed. Click this. Okay. Let's see if it does that also on the toaster. So say it's an LP toaster, right? Because you don't zap single stake. Actually, maybe you can. Zap into toasters. Now, a couple things to be aware of here. This is a dual zap. This is a dual zap into either toaster. What I mean by that is there's single stake and LP. Again, well thought out. I don't know that any other protocol has done it in this way to make it right up front. When you're looking at it, you have choices, but of course there's protocols that do single staking and LP and or both, but you have the choice right here in front of you, quickly and easily accessible for one. The APIs differ and it shows you clearly up front for two, but for three, when you go to zap into them, you can actually do both functions right here. So if I was to do, say, DAI, if I wanted all LP, I'd just put this at 100%, and it would get me, it would use that whole 1,000 DAI and do bread DAI LP, and I get right now 39.8564 of them. But maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to do kind of that continuous money loop strategy where I have some single stake that's printing me some bread. Because maybe I'll do this on the other side too with the Toast token, right? And then I can have all these pools contributing to one another in a circle that just is a continuous money printing ring. A continuous money printing ring, right? Maybe if I do this, take that same 1,000 DAI and make some single stake out of it, right? So the bread's going to make toast. The bread DAI is also going to make toast. What do you do with that toast? You eat it. But before you eat it, you put it in the bakery. These are the Genesis pools. They're expired. They're come and gone. But you can stake Toast DAI LP or add liquidity. Or you can take that toast and you can zap it. If you want an LP. Say you wanted to go into the bread LP, right? Bread DAI, right there. 100 toasts. There we go. Would get you just about 2 bread DAI LP tokens. Then you bring them back over to the toaster, restake them, compound. Now, for the taxes, let's see the fire tax. I don't typically like to read the Git books, but this one just makes sense right here. Fire tax just prevents dumping and keeps a healthy peg. You know, you want the APRs to stay high. It's been out for 25 days here, and the APR is still over 1% a day. Pretty much unheard of. This is why. This is one of the main reasons why. It encourages holding, keeps the toaster hot with fresh toast, means boardroom consistently, continuously printing. Every Tomb Fork investor's dream. Just want the thing to print. Print every single day, and they know what to do with those funds. Everybody dumps at Genesis. I've done it several times. We all have. You have to survive. And, you know, it depends on kind of when you learned about Tomb Forks in general. But in this system, when they tax it like this, it makes no sense to dump on Genesis. Because you can keep milking the cow for longer, just not as much per day. But you can milk her for way longer. And so ultimately, she lives longer, you get more. You know, totally the way it should be in a protocol like this. No buy tax. No buy tax is excellent. This is interesting here. Take a very close look at this matrix here of what they do with the 6% sales tax. It was just recently reduced to 6. It's a very important chart. When the TWAP is 110% or higher, tax is 6%. 6% when it's at or over peg. That allows the team here to keep buying back toast and burning it with the ever inflationary mechanisms, just like all Tomb Forks have, to keep it at peg. So hopefully, with any luck, this thing is not going to go to like 30% of peg. But this self-tax increases as the price of the peg token drops. 50% or less, tax is 22.5%. So, this being said, absolute scaling anti-dump mechanism, like a real anti-dump mechanism. If you're willing to sell, you know, at 20% tax, which, hey, to be honest, I've done it. To jump into different pools, if I know my strategy, I'm going to be in there long enough, I'll have time to make it up, whatever, it doesn't matter. Totally worth it. But most investors are not going to do that. Most investors are not going to see something at 85% of TWAP, of PEG, right, and say, well, it's worth taking a hit for 10%. 10% on a grand is $100. on 10 grand, it's $1,000. That's a lot of money, you know. But it makes sense, and the less